Hi, welcome to Dialogues for the Vaccine Hesitant and Those Who Love Them. I'm Jay Dodge, artistic producer at Boca de Lupo. Boca de Lupo is a company that has been focused on creating new work, touring productions, and presenting shows across the country and internationally for almost 25 years. We've done tiny shows inside shipping containers and between phone booths. We've done huge productions under Vancouver's iconic bridges and in the rainforest trails of Stanley Park. We also do plays in theaters, but since the pandemic, we've been focusing on ways to keep the spark of theater alive as all the world's venues went dark. This led us to create Plays to Perform at Home, a series of plays delivered right to your doorstep to be performed with and for the close friends and family that make up your bubble. Inspired by that project, we came together with the Dr. Peter Center to create these dialogues for the vaccine hesitant and those who love them. As a theater company, we conceived these audio plays, or practice conversations for difficult situations, as a way of helping people navigate tricky territory with compassion and empathy. The play you're about to hear is called Vaxx Pass by Omari Newton. It was recorded at the Centaur Theatre in Montreal, directed by Eda Holmes, and featuring Justin Johnson as Chai, Dakota Jamal Wellman as Amare, and Jeremy Cabrera as Junior, and Espoir Segbeaya as Sosa. A dope hip-hop beat is pumping in an old warehouse turned makeshift dance studio / art gallery in East Vancouver. A group of 4 dancers are working on complex choreography. A short, stocky black man, Amare, is leading the group through the steps, barking out commands and punctuating them with explosive movements.
5, 6, 7, 8. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Hit, get. Yes! That was it. We're ready. Sosa, you hit me with those Fossy hands I wanted.
Yup.
And Junior, those shoulders were fierce.
That's how we do it.
Shy, you were smooth as always.
They call me Silky for a reason.
Now the only thing left is some administrative stuff, and we are good to go for defending our World of Dance Championship title!
World champs?
We gon' stay undefeated.
So everyone knows that wardrobe is red tracksuits, white runners, and red masks.
I thought we didn't have to wear masks on stage.
We aren't on stage, but we have to wear a mask everywhere else in the venue.
And the show starts the second the champs arrive.
I want to make sure we look like one unit from the jump.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The only thing left is, did you all download your Vaxx Pass?
Yep, got mine yesterday so I could go back to the gym. Double vaxxed and relaxed.
My tita made us download that immediately. I got mine too.
Great. Now,
I don't have one.
oh, don't worry. They're super easy to download. There's an app. I got mine today and it took like 2 seconds. Yo, you gotta get on this, man. The show's in less than 2 hours.
Yeah, I don't have any.
Neither did I until this morning. Don't worry, I'll send you the download link again.
Bruh, did you get it?
Is your battery dead?
Nah,
So,
I can't use the link because
You just need to enter the date that you got vaxxed.
I'm not vaccinated.
what?
Wow.
Why not?
I don't believe in it.
Wow.
What do you mean you don't believe in it? It's not a mythical dragon. Vaccines exist.
I don't believe that they work. At least not in the way doctors say they do.
Out of curiosity, what medical school did you attend? The University of YouTube? Or TCC, Twitter Community College?
This isn't a joke, Amari. We've been rehearsing in this tiny-ass room, dancing, sweating, breathing heavily for the last 2 days. My tita is recovering from cancer. I'm her main caregiver, like...
Bro, can you at least put a mask on then? Cause, damn.
I could put one on, but those don't work either.
Do you work for Fox News? Did Tucker Carlson get a tan and join her crew?
What's going on with you, man? You signed the waiver that I gave you 2 weeks ago, and you didn't say anything.
I followed everything the waiver requested.
What do you mean? The waiver said by signing it, you would follow all recommended public health protocols.
And when I signed it, I was. This passport business is new, like everything else in this pandemic. They just make up the rules as they go along.
The virus is changing, Black Bill O'Reilly. The PHO has to change with it. Is this guy for real?
This is all too real.
Talk to us, man. What's going on?
Look, I just don't trust science. Big Pharma has a lot of influence on what
So this is some Bill Gates is putting microchips in us 5G tower shit? I can't with you people. You know your phone tracks you, right? Not that it needs to. You post your location on IG 24/7 anyway, with pics.
You can't make money hustling if nobody knows where you do business.
Hustling? You breakdance for change at SkyTrain stations. Stop talking like you're El Chapo.
Now, why do you have to go all the way there? Can you really not understand why a black man is suspicious of scientists? Do you not know the history of governments using us as experiments?
Damn, he's not wrong on that one.
Okay, listen. We get it. We are all aware that racism exists and history is filled with examples of messed up government behavior. That has nothing to do with right now, with the global pandemic that we are in right now.
Oh, so they fixed racism, What year did that happen?
Fool everybody here is BIPOC, okay? Quit playing with us.
Yeah, man, let's deal with the race angle later. Can we talk about this vaccine? I didn't know that you were anti-vax.
Why do I have to be anti-vax? I just have reservations. Like, what's in this thing? How did they just magically whip these up as fast as they did, huh?
What's in it is medicine. Medicine that protects us. That's all I need to know.
And they whipped it up fast because literally every doctor in the world has been working on it.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of generalities and not a lot of actual science. Did you know you can still get COVID after you're vaxxed?
Did you know that you can still die in a bike accident while wearing a helmet? Did you know that you can still die in a car crash while wearing a seatbelt?
That's not the same thing.
But it is, though. Seatbelts and helmets aren't 100% safe, but they reduce the risk of death or serious injury by a lot. Sound familiar?
Do you sheeple have any talking points that aren't straight from the mainstream media?
We aren't scientists, Shy. We aren't the government, and we aren't sheeple. We're your friends who love you and are trying to understand why a dude as smart as you has gone down this conspiracy route.
It's not a conspiracy, guys. I've heard stories. I know people who've had messed up experiences after getting vaccinated. Blood clots, heart problems.
And I know people who got hit by lightning.
I know people that won the lottery.
I know peeps that got pooped on by a bird while indoors. Random stuff happens, Chai.
Yeah, well, I like to control as much as I can to minimize randomness.
Look, man, I'm admittedly not qualified to judge or criticize the plan that doctors and scientists have laid out for us all to follow.
Kind of like how I'm not qualified to debate a pilot on the best way to stop a plane from crashing, because I don't know how to fly a plane. If I'm a passenger on a plane that's going down, my job is to shut my mouth, follow the orders that I get from the pilot and his crew, and hope for the best.
Hope for the best? Really? That's the plan we're following.
Do you have a better one?
Yes. Don't stick random things in my arm that some quack on the payroll of Big Pharma just tell.
Big Pharma. Oh my God. You are obsessed, dude. It costs money to do research. Drug companies have money and make drugs for a living. It ain't that deep.
Oh, I think the problem is how shallow most people are.
Oh, here we go.
You know, a lot of people like to talk about sheep. That's what they call the unthinking masses.
I think I'm gonna roll my eyes out of my head.
Who just fall in lockstep with everything the government says. And I use it sometimes, but it ain't right. Sheep just move blindly as a herd. Sheep are harmless, reactive. They have no agenda, no real motivation except following the group under the guise of staying safe. People today are more like pigs. Pigs at the government trough, slurping down anything Big Brother tosses into their greedy, empty little dish. Did any of you ever stop and think about why?
Why what?
Why are they pushing these drugs so hard? I mean, hell, heroin dealers don't even advertise this hard. And we have years of data that tells us what a jab of heroin does. At least heroin offers some temporary relief.
Dude, stop. Okay, just stop it. You sound unhinged.
I sound unhinged? The government that has a known track record of decimating marginalized communities have convinced you to take an untested jab, and I'm unhinged. When we were teenagers a few years back, our teachers wouldn't shut up about staying away from drugs. Even weed was considered crazy. A plant that grows naturally from the ground. And now we have the government and the mainstream media pushing some untested crap on us because Pfizer said it's okay. This is madness.
Shy, my brother, listen to me. I have nothing but love for you, truly, but you've lost it. This thing is killing people in numbers that we have never seen. ICUs are at capacity. Also, this thing is killing us. Black people, poor people, working class people at even higher rates than the average person. The media that you hate so much is trash.
So trash.
For a lot of reasons.
At least we agree on something.
They use all of this innuendo and coded language, triage protocols, Frontline workers, spike in numbers. These are just fancy ways of saying choosing who dies, poor people, and more people are dropping dead. I am just as skeptical, just as scared, as hesitant as you are.
Then why were you one of the first to put that thing in your arm?
Because as scared as I am of the vaccine, I'm even more scared of this virus.
Preach.
So that's your argument. You let fear guide you, and your biggest fear wins.
This guy misses the point more than Shaq at the free throw line.
No, man, I have to push fear aside. Fear is a response. It's not rational. It's a physical and psychological response to the unknown. We have to focus on what we do know.
We don't know anything about this. Doctors and scientists literally say that they have theories. My theory is Pfizer is interested in profits, not public health. Didn't they pay the biggest
What I
fine?
know is, I know nothing about science. As suspect as I am of whatever plan doctors and scientists have laid out for us, I am not qualified to comment on it or offer a better plan.
You have a brain. You have a gut. You have your own body that qualifies you to weigh in on what is put inside of you.
No, it doesn't. Let the pilots fly the plane, especially during extreme turbulence.
He couldn't even fly a kite.
He can't even swat a fly, let alone fly anything.
Why are we talking about planes? You always change the subject.
It's an analogy, bro. Think of this pandemic as a plane that's crashing. We are going down fast, and it doesn't look good. We need to act quick if we want to save as many people as possible. The doctors and the scientists are our pilots and air traffic controllers. The nurses are our flight attendants. Yeah, their plan might be a long shot, but it's all we have, man.
Okay, so say I take this thing. How do I know that in 5 years from now I don't get, cancer?
Plane's crashing, man.
What about our rights, our freedoms?
Plane, going down. The clock is ticking.
What if this passport is the first step towards full-on fascism?
It's not a passport, bro.
It's a proof of vaccination. This is not new.
When I went backpacking, I had to get all types of vaccinations.
Do you call your library card a passport to take out books? Is your health card a hospital passport?
The government is not a friend, especially not black people. Aren't you afraid that...
The government has drones that can kill enemies of the state hiding in caves across the globe. Do you really think if they had a fascist takeover planned, they would need to use trickery? You think that's the plan? Dupe us into vaccines.
Only someone that has never left Canada would believe something as dumb as this. In most countries, governments don't play. When protests happen, the cops just beat people's non-compliant asses off the streets. When they want people to self-isolate, they lock them in their buildings, weld their doors shut, and station armed guards at the door. You think we're oppressed in Canada because club owners want you to show an app on your phone before you perform on a live dance show?
Bruh, please.
Look, we just love you, man. We want you to stay a part of our crew. We want to hang with you, perform with you, and do all the things. But if you don't get the vaccine, you can't get the passport. And if you don't have the passport, you can't get into any of the venues where we're booked. It's too late for this upcoming show. I'm sorry, man, but you're out. The rest of us will have to skip dinner and rework the choreo.
Great.
Thanks, man.
Stop, guys. I'm sure he feels bad enough as it is. Will you at least think about getting vaxxed for the next show? You're an OG part of this crew. We need you.
I got a lot to think about.
Dialogues for the Vaccine Hesitant and Those Who Love Them was produced by Jay Dodge, directed by Sherry J. Yoon, sound designed and engineered by Carey Dodge, and with communications by Carmela Cison. Special thanks to Eda Holmes at the Centaur Theatre, and to Scott Elliott and the Dr. Peter Center for supporting this project and for all the incredible work they do. This has been a Boca de Lupo project. If you love the play and want to read it yourself or with others, you can go to bocadelupo.com. That's BOCADELLUPO.com and find the ebooks for all the plays in this series. You'll now hear a Zoom interview hosted by Boca de Lupo Artistic Director Sherry J. Yoon with the playwright Omari Newton and Nadia Bayzaei from Emily Carr University's Health and Design Lab.
With me now is Nadia Bayzaei. She is a designer and researcher working in the spaces of health and community engagement. Nadia works as the coordinator of the Health Design Lab at Emily Carr University of Art and Design, a research and design center that uses participatory design methods to catalyze, support, and amplify initiatives that address complex health challenges. Hi, Nadia. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. Really excited for our chat today.
And also joining us is Omari Newton, an award-winning actor, director, producer, teacher, and playwright of the podcast you just heard. He's based in Vancouver and Montreal and has written and performed in many productions for the stage, TV, and film. Hi, Omari. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited for this conversation.
So, Omari, tell us a bit about the piece you wrote, Vaxx Pass. Can you tell me where the inspiration for the piece came from? Is it something you've seen or happened to you in your life?
Yeah, I unfortunately have firsthand experience with that situation. It was inspired by a real life event. I won't name real names because I don't want to throw people under the bus because it's not the point, but I was booked to produce an event for a major festival. And I had assembled our crew of people. It was mainly BIPOC people. And we'd been rehearsing. And literally the day before we were supposed to go on for the closing night of this festival, one of the members of our crew revealed that they were not vaccinated. And I had everyone sign waivers in advance saying that they were following all the public health protocols. Personally, I thought it was really duplicitous, I guess. I was like, it just seemed shady to me, right? And I was really frustrated. And that's what inspired this piece, was because the person actually had really valid, reasonable reasons why they were hesitating, but that didn't change the fact that they jeopardized our performance and endangered the health of everybody.
And so was this a conversation that you had? Is this how the whole group felt?
So this is an amalgamation of several different conversations that I've had in person and on social media, and all the things I wish I could have said to this individual. But I was more freaking out trying to find a replacement so that we could do the show. So in real life, we had just kind of a brief, why? But I've had many conversations with friends and people on social media, particularly Black people, to be honest, and people from the BIPOC community who are really hesitant when the government says, take this medicine, it's going to be good for you. A lot of my Indigenous friends, my Black friends, my Filipino friends are like, nope.
There are some pretty interesting stats around specific communities who are not being vaccinated compared to the general public in Canada. But when you talk about personal experiences and your desire to communicate something through this work, can you talk a little bit about, you do already in the play, we do hear different sides as to why people are feeling hesitant, but is it overall a mistrust by experience? And with histories and background, would you say, is that the common thread within every community?
Absolutely. And the reason why it's so tricky is there are very valid reasons for BIPOC people to distrust the government. There are well-documented historical cases in Canada and the US of people being lied to by the government. I know in America, there's the Tuskegee experiment. In the Indigenous community who were made, when we go back all the way to colonization, were made promises of partnership and improving lives. And of course, what they got was disease and enslavement and slaughter. And this is historical fact, right? So a lot of them are going, last time a bunch of primarily white people told us, take this medicine, it's good for you, because of some abstract threat that they're not dealing with personally, it ended very badly. So they're going, I'd rather roll the dice and take my chances with my community than trust these white people telling me to take this drug. And it's unfortunate because the numbers have disproportionately affected members of these communities.
And so this segues a bit to you, Nadia, about what you do at Emily Carr and this project, the plays for the vaccine hesitant and those who love them. These podcasts and plays we've created ties in a bit with what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about your work at the Health Design Lab?
Yeah, so the design work that we do at the Health Design Lab, we're called the Health Design Lab, but in reality, the main work that we do is participatory design. So it's really about engaging people in the entire process, not this idea of kind of creating something, designing something, and then at the end kind of going back to these communities and say, hey, we made something for you. That's really not what we're about. We're about how do we engage people with lived experiences from the very beginning and in a thoughtful and meaningful way. So it's not the token person on the team. It's like we really value that person's opinion as not just being a participant, but kind of like a co-leader in those spaces. And so one of the projects that I'm working on right now is with Indigenous communities. The project is called Decolonizing Cultural Safety Education through using making and reciprocity. And it's this idea of like, how can we build relationships and trust? There's this book I'm reading recently called Beyond Sticky Notes. And there's a great quote from it that's, I think, really encompasses a lot of the work that we do. And it says, it's really important to build trust and relationships before offering methods and tools. And I think that really relates actually back, Omari, about your work. And, I really resonated as I was reading it. I was, yes, that's totally a response I've had of saying that in the moment to someone who maybe is hesitant. And sometimes I think in the design field, we like, oh, we have a solution. Oh, we want to help you. And I think there's this shift happening in more recent years about listening, seeing where people are coming from, understanding that maybe what they're able to express in the moment isn't everything, and how do we unlock and help them feel comfortable in the moment so that they do feel comfortable to share. And it doesn't come to a moment where you're butting up heads and maybe you get into a scene where people feel like they want to maybe not share certain things until the very last moment, like in your play where there wasn't any other choice at the very end. It kind of was like, you either have it or you don't. In that case, they didn't, right?
So, Amari, linking in this framework that has been presented by what Nadia does, for yourself, all your work and all your inspiration is really motivated by a particular passion. You want to talk a little bit about that? Especially in this whole idea of design. It's a really different way to look at it. Like from theater people and theater makers, we think about our passion and our lived experience or imagining something else. It's a very interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. My first transformative introduction to art was the work of people like Spike Lee, Public Enemy, when I was younger, Rage Against the Machine. So for me, art and social justice and activism have always been linked. So I'm always fired up by things that I see as like societal ills that I don't understand why people don't get it. Or why aren't people talking about this? And that's usually the catalyst for me to write a slam poetry piece or a play or just something that contextualizes a problem that's bothering me in a way that is accessible to a mainstream audience. The pandemic has created for so many conversations that just frustrate me to no end. I see members of my community who I really care about and people I grew up with, people I really respect. I know they're good people and they want the best for themselves and their family, and I want the same. It's funny, you used the term research earlier, and I put the inverted quotes because under the guise of research, so many of my friends have gone down this insane path that, like literally insane, some of the stuff that they believe, that it just makes me angry. And the issue is systemic, right? That you can blame Facebook, you can blame the polarization of mainstream media, but facts have become things that are subjective and that people adopt based on their political affiliation, and they have faith in the sources that deliver their facts. And if they're part of the alt-right faction, then these facts are legit. And progressives, we're not much better. Fox News could release a report that said, I don't know, Black people are the smartest people in the world. And I'd be like, are they though?
It's interesting. I would actually love to critique research as well too. I've been in the field for professionally, I would say for a bit now, but it's almost made me be like, oh, wait, are certain things really like achieving change, or like, are they just building off of past systems that maybe don't make sense anymore? And I did some work in evidence-based medicine, which I think kind of links back to this vaccine hesitancy, and information that's out there, kind of the value of it comes in different waves, I would say. And within research, there's certain kind of hierarchies of how it's valued. And I think from a public standpoint, there's certain stats that are out there, but people's kind of opinions and that kind of like relationship part is not valued very highly, I would say, on those research kind of hierarchies. And I think maybe that's also part of that kind of hesitation of like wanting to agree blindly with what's put out there, because it's kind of like, oh, these really highly regulated studies that have certain maybe frameworks of how they recruit participants and stuff are, publishing data that feels representational of maybe a certain group of people. And so there isn't that broad range of really, case studies that are being valued really highly of hearing people's voices and the people that fall through their cracks. What about them? And so I can understand why that feeling of I don't feel represented in that big research study. So being kind of hesitant to being open to that too.
So we're talking a bit about equity-seeking communities here, and this is a big part of Vaxx Pass. And this is a question for both of you. Is it possible to have a healthy mistrust of government and still be vaccinated?
Yeah, I'm living proof, I think. I'm double vaccinated. And I remember joking, or it might have been a comedian who said this, but I was joking early on saying I'd be comfortable being vaccinated when all the white guys at the country club and all of the bank managers and all of the CEOs, when I learn that those guys got it, that's when I'll be comfortable. Because I know, those are the guys that are in bed with these politicians. So I have a healthy cynicism about government. But at the same time, I also really respect and believe in doctors and science, right? And at some point, I think your justified cynicism has to be outweighed by the very real pandemic that is disproportionately affecting people in marginalized communities, right? To me, it's like, what's more punk rock than not letting this vaccine kill us off? That's the irony, right? Is like all this government mistrust, and it's like you're basically feeding right into the hands of your political enemies because you're leaving yourself more vulnerable to be killed by not getting vaccinated.
Yeah, I would agree with Amari too. I myself am double vaccinated, but I have people around me that aren't. And it's an interesting dialogue back and forth too. And I think the key point there is dialogue. It's not about kind of saying, hey, I did this, I believe this, you should do that because I myself did it, or like other people are saying too. It's about where is that hesitancy actually coming from? How can we talk about that not in a blaming way, not in a shaming way, but kind of just see if there's opportunities to kind of uncover other aspects that it might actually be grounded in. And I think, originally when the vaccines came out, of course, everyone's like, I don't want to be the first one to get it. Like, I don't want to be the guinea pig that it's being tested on. And like, of course, I felt that way too. And, there's this idea of big pharma and like all these, is it money motivated? Like there's so many, I think all of those thoughts came to everyone at the time, right? And I think at some point it became like, okay, we're like really far into this pandemic. This is going to be something that isn't really going away, something that's evolving constantly. And which is the greater fear, right? Is it the fear that there's something within the vaccine that's going to have a long-term effect on me in that way? Or is it the fear of having COVID and that having a long-term effect that we can't study also, right? So I think there's equal things that, fear aspects that fit within both sides. And I think it's really just about sharing and having trust in each other and building those relationships where it doesn't feel like we're butting up against each other, but more just trying to figure out where we stand and why we stand, where we're situated on whether we would like to get the vaccine or not, or hesitancy in that sense.
I think it's, one of the goals is to destigmatize both sides of the argument. There's this tendency I find, like what I'm not interested in as an artist is propaganda. Whether I'm writing about police brutality or I'm writing about a vaccine, if you write a piece that's like cops are white devils and they're evil and they're monsters, you're writing propaganda, even if you truly believe that. From an artist standpoint, that's not art. That's you're advocating. So to me, I want people to hear balanced, reasonable, articulate people expressing why they hold their views. And if people walk away from hearing this piece going, I hadn't looked at it from that perspective. Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So they don't just picture whatever stereotype of the other side that they have. That would be a win. And especially when people are saying, people who diametrically, I'm opposed to what they say on one level. I think everyone should get vaccinated. But if somebody you've known your whole life goes, dude, you really trust the white people in government? And you're like, oh man, it's got a point. You know what I mean? His launch pad that he's going from is based in truth. Mm-hmm. So no matter how much I disagree with him, and he might have taken the wrong conclusions from that, but I can't be like, you're an idiot, you should totally trust the government.
Exactly. It's still grounded in truth, but it's like, how far reaching does that go? And can you transpose that into every decision that you make or not, right? Where is that line drawn?
And where's the
Yes.
line, right? And where's the line for us, right? Again, about what kind of people do we want to be? We want to be compassionate and empathetic in this time of whatever side we sit on. And what is the practice of that now when everything we're fed is really to polarize? And so that's where I hope art, design, and the practice that you do at Emily Carr is really doing the longer, slower burn that hopefully has a huge impact, because it's about relationships and it's about people seeing the energy that art and design does and has on a community, especially in a time where a lot of that's really shut down. So thank you for that. Do you guys have any last thoughts that you want to add?
Yeah, I guess, a message to myself and my fellow progressives as much as anyone else is that one never changes minds or hearts through condescension or being belligerent. Again, I'm calling myself out as well because I can get frustrated and get the same way. And I think dialogue, as we've brought up here a few times, is key. Everybody is trying to do their best. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Everyone's trying to protect themselves and their family. And if we start conversations from that launching point, everybody's trying to do the best for themselves and their families, I think we can have much more productive conversations.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think, the spaces that we're fortunate to be working within art, design, theater, I think it allows for conversations to come at the COVID vaccine hesitancy from a different angle, and it not to feel like there's any agenda behind it. It's more just about coming from a neutral place and seeing where we get to without having any preconceived notion of necessarily where that conversation is going to go. And so, yeah, I think it's incredibly cool working at, coming together from this kind of trifecta of art and design and theater.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks so much, Nadia and Omari, and for you for joining us today. Hopefully the plays and our conversation can support you and your loved ones through these challenging times. Thanks so much, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.